once in my life is that I just found myself in the middle of America where there's a place for competition and ruthless competition. So you bring an idea, right, and you think it's going to work, and you find a guy who just graduated out of high school who will take it apart and make you look like an idiot. Then you're coming from Nigeria. But for me to have competed through that process and created a product that is globally respected in the middle of New York, where CNN is existing, where Al Jazeera America came and packed up. Al Jazeera actually introduced Al Jazeera America, and at the point they couldn't cope. They had to, liquidate and go back to wherever they came back from and went back to the Middle East. But we existed and competed there. And I actually brought, this is a foundation that we created as a lab. In 2007 is when this place debuted. And when I came here, this first day I arrived, they came after me. And I made a vow that it was time to bring the idea home. It didn't matter. There are over 30 people working here in this place. They seized all the money I brought, $200,000. Saraki went and got a judgment in Ilorin and seized the money. I vowed to myself that that would not kill the idea, because the 30 people that are working here or more have dependents. In fact, the idea of a minimum wage that I proposed started from here. Right? That I'm not going to work here and pay anybody who's working here less than an amount of money that I think Nigerian workers deserve. So without even the money that originally came as seed money, we're here, struggling to pay that amount. They seized all my money, but I said, look, this idea must become dominant. I'm giving you that background not because of analogy, it's because experience is also real. And when nations want to change, they don't look for people to drop from the sky. They look for people who have local experience. They look for people who have capacity. They look for people who understand history. They look for people who understand their culture, and people who understand their persons. That's why I was saying that we have to move the nation from a country of people who are commodities to personalities who understand their place in the country. And when you say personalities, we're not talking about people who are vague, but people who are here to stay. And staying here doesn't mean that you are physically here. It might mean that you are mentally here with us, so that you are willing to wake up and sleep with us and move this country in a direction that is totally different. But on a final note, in responding to this, right, it is that there are certain things that are simple as you said, just driving your car on the road that is not bumpy, right? Which we all know can be done. Right? That one you don't need a white man to come and construct road in 2018, right? You don't need a white man to come and sweep your street. Exactly. You don't need a white man to be the professor or lecturer in your university. You don't need a white man to understand that a 6-block classroom can actually have a toilet, ceiling fan at the minimum, and a window that is wind resistant or storm resistant, or like a drainage at the roof, so that when rain is falling, it's not falling directly inside the classroom. You don't need a rocket scientist to go to Yaba and put up something like this at the train station, even if it is cane shares. Just buy 300,000 naira worth of cane shares. Put this there. In fact, don't put a cushion on it. Just have people sit down and put a table there while they are waiting. You don't need a rocket scientist to put a laptop there, or even a device that you can just press and pay for ticket. The cost of buying, an app is probably $1.99 that can issue a ticket, a train ticket. But go to Yaba. We went to Yaba. And there's nothing like that. There's not a chair there. It is some kind of wooden chair, but it's for people who are homeless sleeping there at Java. But the question you should ask yourself is, when was the last time you, Vector, went there yourself?
Where?
No, I'm saying, like, when was the last time you took a train ride? Because there's no basis for you to go and take a train ride. It's like it dehumanizes you. When we walked into the train, we're like, wow. Pigs cannot even travel in this. If they do that in the US, animal rights people will protest that you are putting pigs on an uncomfortable place for transportation to where they'll be
me using a train in America and the way white people use the bathroom. The way that one irritates me, I don't go.
No, it's true.
Yeah. No, it's pretty much. I guess me, in my head, I've always wondered why am I walking around Lagos and the airspace is just there? Like
sorry,
why?
Sorry, I need to.
Leave, yeah. Thank you so much.
Like,
thank you, man. Thank you.
Like, why do we have free airspace? Like, trains supposed on the bus. I mean, from what we are hearing in the news, I'm not in account, but for what I'm hearing in the news about what Lagos makes a day, I mean, we may have other things that we're doing at simultaneous times, but okay, sorry, let's just focus on one.
Yes.
Like, let's just say that, okay, dear Lagosians, for the whole of a decade, we are making sure that this, and we're carrying out a project with the university students whereby they can come up with, I'm sure how to make tar is not a problem in Nigeria. How do we fortify it? What can we study that is abundant in Nigeria that if we add to our own type of tar, maybe we won't have to fix the road for the next 50 years, 100. Let's build. Let's know that we are messing up because we are developing our own people, not any small thing, foreign contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Any small thing, like, you get what I mean? And I see that and I'm like, okay, when it's happened for so long, I can't even blame people that see it as a norm, because not everybody has the power or the ability to be in America and know that maybe we're driving there, and by the time we get to the edge of the road, there's a chiseling in the ground that creates a vibration that maybe wakes you up if maybe you're asleep.
Yeah, it's on the side of the road.
Yeah, it's on the side of the road.
Off the road. Yeah.
If you're veering off the road, like, you just your car vibrates, and if you were sleeping,
it'll wake you up.
Or if you were distracted,
before you hit the median,
yes, you ask what's that, and you get back to what you were doing.
Yeah, back on track. Yeah.
Like, a few of us have seen life on that level. We've seen how, don't worry, run the lights, you get that flash, and don't worry, your plate number is registered and all these things. Like, we get that. I'm not even saying we should run with that immediately, but how do we always have the same things repeating? It's like, do we ignore the patterns? Is it that people are continuously saying that, okay, if you make and they just let that be, or we're just structured to fail?
I don't think we're structured to fail. I think there's something about how over time there is an organized destruction of the human dignity. I mean, human dignity in this country. And that was deliberately done through the education of the populace. See, when people are educated, they are very difficult to, misrule the way they have misruled Nigeria. And you notice that one of the things they went after at first was like, they went after education. It started in 1978 when they stopped funding feeding for university students. And then by the time the military came in 83, one of their targets was education. When Babangida came, they finished whatever was left in the education sector. They even wanted to close down more universities. They said we have too many universities. Whereas other parts of the world were building more universities and schools. So, and it's organized. It's also international, because the World Bank was part of it. The IMF was like, why are you investing so much money in the public sector or the social sector? Why don't you just invest money in technology, things that can help them import more goods here or find ready-made labor? So, and when that is compounded by this kind of stupid leadership, with due respect, I have to say that has then emerged, because over years you don't have leadership cadres that can take Nigeria to the next level. And then most importantly, they took away history, right? So you think about it, a guy who annulled a metro line in Lagos in 1983, Buhari, he was the one who got rid of the contract that was going to bring a railway system in Lagos, an intra-city railway system called Metro Line in 1983. He then came back in 2018 to commission a bus stop or bus station. You understand? Only people without history would have accepted that to happen to them without really looking at the implication deeply and say, wait a minute. We had a chance to have had a subway system in 1983. You stopped it. And in 2018, you are shutting down Lagos a whole day to commission a bus station. It would have been something that would have elicited some kind of reaction that would have forced him to not even attend that event. But without history, without critical thinking, which our education has been stripped of, there is no way people can think progressively like that, because who would help you think about it? Somebody was telling me the other day, I think it was one of our staff, saying, oh, we didn't even know the people who killed Ken Saro-Wiwa. We didn't know that the current CG of Customs, Hamid Ali, was part of people that sat on the panel in the military tribunal that sentenced Ken Saro-Wiwa to death. People didn't know. They didn't know that the NBA, that's the Nigerian Bar Association, had the president-elected J.B. Daudu, who was the prosecutor to Abacha, who killed Ken Saro-Wiwa. He was the one who prosecuted Ken Saro-Wiwa to death. But the system, because of lack of history, has rewarded this same set of people to become our leaders, and they are the role models of a lot of people. They are the role models of the younger generation. So when you are making the argument of a seismic change, you have not only the duty of being a town crier, you have to be a lecturer, you understand, you have to be a moral beacon. So the candidate that is going to take Nigeria to the next level has to be also a psychotherapist who is helping people undergo anti-depression and the new anxiety disorder that is in town. Because one young lady mentioned it at the meeting we went to yesterday, and I don't want to ignore it. Said a lot of Nigerians are caught between two psychological poles. It's a bipolar situation. First is that a lot of people are depressed about the past, and second, a lot of people are anxious about the future. What is the anxiety? That as we move to the next level, can we trust? And it comes back to the argument or your position before we started this live streaming. Is it enough to trust a guy simply because he's been to prison before, or because he was attacked at the university or he was expelled?
Well, it depends on the position you're trusting him for.
Yeah.
Like my question to you was basically, how for you to be able to rule a people, you must have at least a heavy dose of compassion, empathy, and anything that you need to be a humanity.
Yes.
You must be a humanitarian to some extent. I'm not saying 100% because we can't have the Gandhis repeat themselves twice in a row. Well, they do, but not as often as we'd like them to. But you have to have some level of. It's a personal disgust for me, certain things. I'm not even looking at who to blame.
Yeah.
Like things that I can say to myself that, you self, guy, do one place now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't do this. Like, it's weird, it's hard. But like when you look at your own fellow person, like, I think the instrumentality of fear as a weapon of rule in Nigeria, which must have pretty much originated from military rulership, has been constant in the airspace of ruling the Nigerian public or the populace. It's been constant. People have been afraid of what will happen. Like I did a water project with I think it's Mega C and Universal, and we went to my mother's hometown, Ondo State, and we stopped somewhere, and this guy, they swag, say, we dey drink this water, nothing dey happen, nothing dey sup, and I'm like, Baba, no worry, go take catch up, but catch up, but no worry yourself, because it's a stream that is very dirty. I'm a barrack boy. It's very dirty for a barrack boy. Like, I'm like, wait, and I drink from here. And we just did like water solutions, and as we were leaving, and they were all excited that we gave them these buckets and filters that Megasi had been working on and Universal is documenting. In my head, I'm like, shit. Of course, now if they give this guy 500 naira, he will vote.
That's true. So, that where that takes us is that I want us to start looking for the difference between you know, humanity and philanthropy, right? So government has been replaced with symbolic philanthropy. So we are promoting in our society.
Of course, now it's a social media craze now. Yeah. People are at orphanages and they're taking pictures.
Exactly.
Like it's,
So it's symbolic philanthropy. You know, we just have people who say, "Oh, you know," in fact, they asked me, "What have you given to your community? You know, how many people did you give scholarship?" They don't understand that there's a difference between being a human, you know, being human, yes, and being a philanthropist. Because philanthropy is like, okay, you are forced to do it, maybe to claim credit, to get tax credit. They do it even in advance.
Can afford now. Yeah. Everybody can afford to be human. It's not everybody that can afford to send
exactly
to school. I may not have the money.
Exactly. So they may not have the money, you know, but that empathy is something you develop over time, and that's what strengthens it strengthens your humanity. Because over time you're looking at it, just like you said, do you know what is your humanity? Is there a point where you got to a river or a stream and you know yourself that if you drink it, you are probably not going to make it home? And you're like, wow, we have to do something about it. But symbolic philanthropy is that you drop the bucket and the filter, and after the filter and you leave, they probably throw away that bucket. If you go back and check, the bucket is probably not something they are using over time, because the people, the reality is that you need to have a structure that funnels water to people's houses on a regular basis. Things you take for granted when you walk into a hotel room, you're not looking for a filter and a bucket, right? Because it's part of the infrastructure there, and we need to build an infrastructure of humanity in the country that is like, just take it for granted that there's water wherever you get to, and the water is drinkable, right? Yeah. And the water quality is something comparable with, you know, like if I go to a city in the US, for example, yeah, and I find myself in the middle of the night thirsty, and I don't want to go out and go and buy water along the corridor, I'll go on Google and find the water quality level of the states. Can I drink from the tap? It's as simple as that.
Well, yeah. Come on, anybody can put that up.
No, right? No, it's real. Maybe here, but in the US, there's actually a quality control process.
I know.
So they'll say, hey, you know, don't drink water in New York because the public water system is not good. But if you are in a certain city in Canada, they'll say, look, it's better than what you get from ever. So it's true. Somebody is out doing it because constantly they are controlling the process. It's not the government that is putting out propaganda that their public water is the best. For me, I'm just using that as an example of how to build humanity into a system that is different from philanthropy. You know, I love philanthropists, but this country must get to a point where, you know, our level of philanthropy is built on humanity, not based on humanitarianism.
Yes, of course, because like you say, LeBron James, like basketballers, they go back to like the neighborhoods that they lacked in and try to provide there. Yeah. Like it's not, I'm not saying they don't do it elsewhere, but it's pretty much like you wear your jewelry from your house to the events you're going to. So the best you could do in whatever capacity you can, you should be able to give back to your hood. But now that I've had a conversation with you, now I can sit down and put two and two together on certain truths that I've observed and say countenance and stuff. And I know it's going to be, I definitely know it's going to be a tough one.
Oh yeah.
It will be a tough one because it's the decay level is, don't worry, like we all struggle with it. We all struggle with, even if it's mental. But I wish you success with your run.
Thank you,
I wish you success with your run. I hope that as genuine as you are and as the conversation has been, I hope that is the truth. I hope it lasts. I hope the consequence of what you're trying to do doesn't frustrate you, because there are consequences we foresee and the ones that hit us sudden.
Yes.
I hope the sudden ones don't break your spirit.
Absolutely. And in talking about breaking spirits, we also have to try to magnify and, you know, intensify bonded spirit. You know, for me, if this is not tough, the victory will not be sweet. You know, and it has to be tough. We are after the soul of the country, and is cocooned by.
It's hard to get to.
It's very hard to get to it.
It's been protected so
and
much.
The people who put it away, they are so entrenched. They are powerful interests. We were breaking it down somewhere last night, and you look at Nigeria and understand that if you do a little bit of analysis, you'll be paralyzed. Right? But we must move away from analysis paralysis. It's like, because if you look at it and hear that somebody who is in charge of your port has a connection with the Italian mafia, you're like, ooh.
But I don't do based on hearsay.
Yeah, no, it's not hearsay, or somebody who is in charge of an oil company, or the oil that's going out of this country, has some entrenched interest somewhere, in the Americas or Europe. And look, they're not just going to wake up one day, and then you have to combine all those forces with entrenched local interests, both cultural, religious, traditional, who are like protecting themselves. We are talking about where to find the soul of the country now.
Yeah, you see this thing you said there, it's very funny, but I believe like no matter what office you're running for, you are entitled to your personal opinions about life.
Yes.
As long as you are aware of the consequences that come with such opinion.
Absolutely.
On that note, I was speaking to a friend of mine, Celestine, and we went to school together, and he was like, "But Vector, say the truth about this matter." And I say, we no fit the judge people based on waiting people talk.
Yeah.
There is a reason why we're not privy to such information. There's a reason why I don't have the privilege of knowing that you, in your own spare time, you are this type of bad guy. There's a reason why, but there's also a reason why I have a brain to analyze your countenance, your body movements, how sincere you sound, based on my own judgment.
Yes.
To decide whether I want to vote or I want to follow the principles you've laid down.
Yeah.
What you do outside that doesn't conflict, that I don't know, conflict with any rule of good in my head. I do not know it. I really can't judge you now. I'll be doing wrong, right?
That's right.
So if someone comes and says, "Oh, this guy wants to run for president, but I say, maybe, but forget it to you." Like if there's video evidence, if all those things that I don't want to, I'm not asking for it.
Yeah.
But if I find myself in a situation where that conversation is had and I can see a video, bros, let's not even talk about the 1 million ways of making a fake video.
No,
right?
yeah.
So to me, is what I don't know. I've learned over time to leave it at what I don't know, but then judge by, like when I'm speaking with you now, for me, what I have engaged you upon is within the confines of the image you've sold to me.
Yeah.
This is you running for an office that means Baba Nigeria. Right? I said Baba Nigeria for a reason. It is a parental
position
coming from the African perspective. So I will deal with you on that level. Anybody that comes to tell me that do they know that you like to go to the strip club? No, be human being, believe me, I beg. You get some people will take that as something worthy of blackmail. But see, let's all know that we're dealing with human beings here. However, what's the proof of what they say they stand for? How loyal are they to that? Let's leave it within those confines. So when people say that article, they heard that, but for example with the Buhari, with all due respect, there's been newspaper articles that are similar.
Or even evidence. There's incontrovertible evidence.
That becomes evidence depending on what I need that information for. But there's been newspaper articles that said the same thing, and this year, last year, he said the same thing. It's like,
exactly.
80s and now come on. Like, that's me personally. It doesn't mean I have to go down. I just hope that we're able to get the average Nigerian. I mean, as a leader, I think that's one of the most important things to do. You must fight for the Nigerian mind to be free. The average Nigerian must be able to think freely. It doesn't mean that they will think freely enough to do whatever they like, but they must be able to think freely and be able to fight for what they believe, because that might just be what pushes the nation forward.
Meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too, Chief.
There's Vector, man. One day I want to be a musician too, man, so I can be famous.
No. Our own negativities are plenty, according to the media.
Yes, thank you, man.
Nice
Let's
talk to
make
you
some
too.
of that. Thank
I'm
you.
looking at maybe another time.
We will, yeah. No problem.
I definitely will be interested.